United Hearts. Introduction. In a peaceful and quiet English village, a young girl named Lily faces numerous challenges and fears brought about by her oppressive uncles who wish to marry her off against her will. This story takes us through Lily's journey of escaping the clutches of her uncles, finding safety and love with Captain John, and ultimately transforming her life into one of happiness and security. The story. Once upon a time, in a serene and beautiful English village, there was a man with 2 wives. Destiny had it that both wives became pregnant and gave birth at the same time, each having a daughter. The first wife named her daughter Lily, while the second named hers Emma. As time passed, tragedy struck and Lily's mother passed away, leaving her in the care of her stepmother. Lily and Emma grew up together, but Lily was always subjected to the harsh treatment of her stepmother. Each day, the stepmother would send the 2 girls to tend to the animals. She would pack a basket full of delicious food and give Emma a small ball of wool to knit, while Lily would receive a hard loaf of bread and some onions along with a large ball of wool to knit. All the difficult chores fell upon Lily, while Emma handled the easier tasks. As time went by, Emma became more pampered and spoiled, her face radiating with beauty, while Lily's appearance gradually lost its charm due to the constant fatigue and exhaustion. Lily owned a yellow cow that had belonged to her mother before she passed away. This cow loved Lily dearly and would rejoice when she was happy and feel sad when she was upset. Whenever it was Lily's turn to tend to the animals, the yellow cow would help keep the animals in check to prevent Lily from getting tired, whereas when it was Emma's turn, the cow would make the animals run wild, forcing Emma to chase after them. The cow never allowed Emma to have a moment of rest. One night, after a long day of hard work, Lily sat on her bed holding a picture of her deceased parents, crying and asking, "Why did you leave me alone? I want to be with you. Why did you leave me?" Suddenly, her aunt's wife entered the room trembling with fear, saying, "Get up, Lily, you need to escape immediately." Lily looked at her with tear-filled eyes and asked in fear, "What's wrong, Aunt? Why are you scared? Why should I run away? Where would I go? I have nowhere else to go." Her aunt's wife grabbed her hand and helped her up quickly, saying, "You need to leave now, my dear. You are as dear to me as my own children, and your mother entrusted me with your care before she passed away. I overheard your uncles planning to marry you off to an old man to get rid of you, so you must leave immediately. Go quickly." Lily grabbed her black cloak, wrapped her scarf around her head, and hurried out of the house, running as fast as she could without knowing where to go. She stopped suddenly after hearing gunshots and saw cars chasing after her. Panicked, she ran even faster until she reached a large house in the village. She slipped inside unnoticed. Hearing men's voices nearby, she quickly hid in a wardrobe in one of the rooms. After a while, she heard the sound of a key turning in the door and someone entering the room. The wardrobe door was suddenly opened, revealing a man armed with a gun. He shouted at her, "Who are you? How did you get into my house and into my wardrobe? Answer me now, or I'll kill you." Lily looked at the gun with sheer terror and said nervously, "I will explain everything, just please move that gun away." The man stared at her intensely before stepping back a little to let her out. She adjusted her cloak and scarf nervously. The man, surprised by her beauty, said angrily, "Who are you? How did you get into my wardrobe?" Lily, trembling with fear, replied, "My name is Lily. I ran away from my family because they wanted to marry me off against my will. I entered your house by mistake and hid here because I was scared." The man, Captain John, laughed sarcastically and said, "And I'm supposed to believe that story? Anyone I find in my wardrobe says that? I'm Captain John, that talk won't work on me. Who sent you?" Terrified by his loud voice, Lily pleaded, "I swear I'm not lying, I'm telling the truth, sir. Please, let me go." John laughed mockingly and said, "Let you go? You won't leave here until I know the truth about you." As John approached the door, Lily ran toward it, crying, "I swear I'm telling the truth. I want to leave, please don't lock me in." Ignoring her pleas, John locked the door and went downstairs, where he found his father, Thomas, entering in a rage. John asked, "What's wrong, Dad? You look very angry. Did the bride not turn out well?" Thomas, seething with anger, replied, "No, she's a disgrace, she ran away from me." John laughed and said mockingly, "The first bride to escape you, Dad. But I told you before, this isn't a good plan, and you didn't believe me." Thomas, hitting his cane on the ground in frustration, replied, "Don't talk to me like that, John. I'll do what I need as long as I can." John, looking at his father with a mix of frustration and respect, said, "All right, Dad, we'll find her for your sake. You're entering elections now, and we don't need problems." Suddenly, their conversation was interrupted by Lily running down the stairs in fear, hiding behind John and crying, "Help me, Captain, please help me." John turned to her in shock. "How did you get out when I locked you in?" Thomas, even more shocked, exclaimed, "Lily, how did you get here, you wretched girl?" and added, "I escaped my house to avoid marriage, only to hide in his house." Approaching her angrily, Thomas grabbed her arm forcefully. In panic, Lily cried out to John, "Help me, Captain, I'm under your protection." John, addressing his father with intensity, said, "Leave her, Dad. She's under my protection now." Thomas, fuming, replied, "She's brought disgrace upon us, and only blood can cleanse it." John, holding Lily's hand firmly, responded, "But no one touches anyone under Captain John's protection, Dad." With that, John pulled Lily away and called out for their housekeeper, "Martha, Martha." Martha came running, fear in her eyes. "Yes, Captain John?" Looking at her sternly, John said, "Take Lily to the guest room immediately and don't let her leave." Martha, trembling, responded, "Yes, Captain John. Come with me, dear." She led Lily away under Thomas's angry gaze, knowing full well that John could be very difficult to deal with. John looked at his father and said, "Lily is under my protection, Dad, and if anything happens to her, you'll regret it." He then turned and walked away. Thomas, frustrated and angry, left the house as well. Back at her uncle's house, Lily's eldest uncle, Arthur, was holding his wife, Helen, by the arm in a rage. "Where is she? Where did you hide her? Speak up, or I'll bury you here." Helen, wincing in pain, replied, "I don't know where she is, Arthur. I only helped her escape." Arthur, still fuming, shouted, "Henry, Henry! Get in here now." Henry came running. "Yes, uncle?" Arthur looked at him angrily. "Take your mother to her room and make sure she stays there. We'll deal with this later." Henry, looking at his mother with sadness, said, "Yes, uncle." He helped her to her room and sat her down on the bed. "Mom, tell me where she is before they find her. I want to save her." Helen, with tears in her eyes, said, "I don't know where she is, son. I just helped her escape, but I don't know where she went." Henry, filled with sorrow, hugged his mother. "Don't worry, Mom. I'll take care of it before they find her. God help us." Meanwhile, in the captain's mansion, Captain John sat at his large dining table with Lily standing nearby, looking frightened. "Sit down, Lily, and eat. You are a guest here, and I always treat my guests with the utmost care," John said gently. Lily, still trembling, sat down next to him and whispered, "Thank you, Captain John, for saving me." John, gazing at her thoughtfully, replied, "You sought my protection, Lily, and I never abandon those who seek it. Now, eat quietly, I prefer silence." As Lily began to eat hungrily, she choked on her food. John quickly handed her a glass of water. "Easy there, the food isn't going anywhere," he said with a hint of concern. After she recovered, he asked, "But tell me, how did you escape from the room when I locked you in?" Lily, with innocent eyes, replied, "Through the window, you left it open." Before John could respond, a guard entered nervously. "Captain John, there are people outside wanting to see you." John, keeping his composure, said, "Let them in, Peter, quickly." As they entered, Lily recognized them and hid behind John in fear. Arthur, with a look of anger, said, "Lily, come here immediately." Trembling, Lily looked at Arthur and, with a shaking voice, said, "Help me, Captain John, they will kill me." John raised his eyes to Arthur with a calm demeanor and said, "Welcome, Arthur. Have a seat first, it's only proper to speak to the host before demanding things." Arthur, still angry, replied, "I came here to take my niece back." "Thank you for your hospitality, Captain John." John, maintaining his composure, said, "Please, sit down, have a meal with us. You are my guest now." Arthur, begrudgingly, sat down and said, "I am not here to dine, I am here to take my niece and leave." Suddenly, Thomas entered and said, "Welcome, Arthur. This is your house too, take your niece." John, glaring at his father, said, "So you told them, Dad?" "Fine. Listen, Arthur, Lily sought my protection, and as Captain John, no one leaves my house without my consent." Arthur stood up, fuming. "What kind of nonsense is this? She's my niece, and I will take her." John, looking him straight in the eye, said, "Lower your voice, Arthur. If you weren't my guest, I would have dealt with you differently. But I respect my guests, and no one leaves here without my permission." Arthur, realizing he couldn't win the argument, left in a rage with his men. Outside, Henry was waiting anxiously. "What happened, Uncle? Where is Lily?" Arthur, with a mix of frustration and determination, replied, "She's inside, hiding behind John. We will take her back and deal with her." Inside, in Lily's room, she sat on the bed, nervously rubbing her hands together. John entered suddenly, causing her to jump. "Is everything all right, Captain John? Did something happen?" John, with a soothing voice, said, "Sit down, Lily. No one can harm you while you're in my house. I need to talk to you." She sat down, feeling a sense of relief. "Go ahead, Captain John." John, sitting in front of her, said, "I know you are still scared of your uncles, and I won't lie to you. They might try to take you from here if they report to the authorities, and I might not be able to stop them." She interrupted him with fear, "But you are a captain, you can prevent that, right?" John, looking serious, replied, "I am a captain, and I respect the law, which gives them the right. I have a solution that will ensure they can never harm you again." With hope in her eyes, she asked, "What is it, Captain John?" "I am willing to do anything to stay safe." John, with a serious look, said, "Marry me, Lily." Stunned, she replied, "What did you say?" John, calmly, said, "Marry me. If you become my wife, they won't be able to do anything to you." After thinking about his words, she realized he was right and said, "I agree, Captain John, just keep me safe from them." John, happy with her decision, called out for Peter. "Peter, go fetch the village registrar immediately." Lily, nervous, asked, "We are getting married now?" John replied, "Yes, to ensure your safety." In a short while, the registrar arrived, and they were married. John turned to Lily and said, "I will leave you to rest now, and we'll talk more tomorrow." Nodding in agreement, Lily watched as John left the room. The next morning, John and Lily were having breakfast together when Officer Mark entered, saluting John with respect. "Welcome, Officer Mark. Have a seat, this house is yours too," John said with a calm demeanor. Mark, looking nervous, replied, "I apologize, Captain John, but I have an order that I must execute. You understand, as an officer of the law." John, maintaining his calm, said, "Of course, do your duty." Mark, with a heavy heart, said, "Captain John, we have a report that you have kidnapped Miss Lily." John, with a slight smile, said, "But no law allows a wife to leave her husband's house, right, Mark?" Arthur, entering with Henry and Thomas, looked shocked. "What are you saying?" Your wife? When did this happen? John, handing the marriage certificate to Mark, replied, "She's my wife now, according to the law." Mark, after verifying the certificate, said, "He's right, Arthur. She is legally his wife." Arthur, fuming, approached Lily to strike her, but John stopped him. "If you weren't my guest and my father's brother, your arm would have been severed by now, Arthur." Realizing the seriousness, Arthur left with his men, and Mark followed them out. John turned to find Lily, but she wasn't there. He ran upstairs to find her crying on the bed. "Lily, don't worry. As long as I'm here, you are safe." She looked at him with tearful eyes and hugged him tightly. "My parents left me alone. I have no one to lean on or cry to." John, gently stroking her hair, said, "Now you have me. I'm your husband, your protector, your everything." She looked up and asked, "Promise you will always be by my side?" He wiped her tears and said, "I promise, I will always be your support. Now, let's start our life together with a prayer. Go, wash up, and we will pray together." With a smile, Lily quickly washed up, and they prayed together. After the prayer, John read verses from the Quran, his beautiful recitation touching Lily's heart deeply. They then sat together, and he taught her, fulfilling a dream she had always cherished. 3 months passed. John had fully recovered from his injuries, and their love grew stronger. Thomas won the elections and became the village councillor, and life seemed to settle into a harmonious routine. John reported Lily's uncles, who were later arrested and sentenced for attempted murder, restoring Lily's right to justice. 2 years later, in their mansion, John entered, looking for Lily as usual. Suddenly, he heard a small voice say, "Stay where you are, or I'll shoot." Turning around, he found his son, little James, holding a toy gun. John laughed and lifted him up, like this, "James? You'll shoot your papa?" James, laughing, replied, "I'm just playing, Papa. You're my hero." John, laughing, asked, "Where's your sister, Emily?" "I'm here, Papa, and I'm upset with you." John, with a loving smile, asked, "Why is Papa's princess upset?" "You love James more, you always carry him, not me." John lifted Emily with his other arm. "I love you both the same, my darlings." He took them to his room, still looking for Lily with his eyes. After putting them down, he asked, "Where's your mom, kids? I can't find her." James, with a bit of annoyance, replied, "She's hiding from us, we don't know where." John looked around the room and spotted the wardrobe. Opening it, he found Lily hiding with her hands over her eyes. He laughed and asked, "Hiding from whom this time, my love?" She lowered her hands and replied with love and innocence, "From your kids, they've been wearing me out with their play." John, smiling, picked her up like a child. "Sorry, my love. But don't hide in my wardrobe again, I'll hide you in a better place." With wide-eyed curiosity, Lily asked, "Where will you hide me, John?" He buried his face in her neck, filled with love and longing, and said, "I'll hide you in my heart forever, my beloved Lily." Blushing, she replied, "I love you so much, John." He kissed her cheek and said, "And I love you to the moon and back, my Lily." Smiling shyly, Lily said, "John, the kids are here, behave." John laughed, called the children, and hugged them all with love. He took out his phone, and they took a beautiful family photo, capturing a moment of their endless love and happiness. Thus, Lily and John, along with their children, lived a life full of love and joy, leaving behind the fears and oppressions of the past. They remained a united family, full of warmth and affection, supporting each other through every challenge. Thus, Lily and John, along with their children, lived a life full of love and joy, leaving behind the fears and oppressions of the past. They remained a united family, full of warmth and affection, supporting each other through every challenge. Years passed, and Lily and John's bond grew stronger with each passing day. They built a life filled with mutual respect and love, raising their children, James and Emily, in an environment of safety and happiness. The struggles of the past became mere shadows, far removed from their daily lives. Lily often reflected on her journey, from the frightened girl who escaped the clutches of her uncles to the strong woman who built a life of love and security with John. Her heart filled with gratitude for the protection and love she found with John, who stood by her through thick and thin. Together, they faced every challenge with bravery and determination, turning every obstacle into an opportunity to strengthen their family. Their home became a sanctuary of love, where their children thrived and grew into compassionate and courageous individuals. As the years went by, Lily and John continued to teach their children the values of kindness, resilience, and the importance of standing up for what is right. They shared stories of their own struggles and triumphs, instilling in James and Emily the lessons of courage and love. In their peaceful village, the family became a beacon of hope and inspiration, showing that even in the face of adversity, love and determination can transform lives. Lily and John's legacy of love, courage, and unwavering support for each other lived on through their children and the community around them. The tale of Lily and John, once filled with fear and uncertainty, became a story of love, hope, and the enduring strength of family. Their journey was a testament to the power of love to heal and transform, creating a future filled with happiness and peace. And so my story ends. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to receive all that is new. Have a nice day.